Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 43 of the Halving Report podcast. The price of Bitcoin is just under 49,000 US dollars, 62,000 Canadian. There are well over 1,000 days left until the next Bitcoin halving. The third halving just occurred in May of 2020 that cut block rewards by 50%. On this episode, we welcome back Justin Rhedrick of Bitcoin Vegan to the show. He has brought along his friend Isaiah Jackson, better known as Bitcoin Zay, the author of Bitcoin in Black America. I just finished the first version of his book, and I must say, it builds quite the case for historically disenfranchised people to embrace the blockchain revolution. This episode turned out to be a really fun one, so I hope you can listen right to the end. Let's get to it. I'd just like to start with giving a little context for the listeners. I'll start with Justin. You were on the podcast back in October, episode 33, and this still is your second time on the show. So I just want to start off by asking you to give a quick introduction of yourself.
Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Justin Rhedrick, Bitcoin Vegan on Instagram and Bitcoin_Vegan on Twitter. I'm the writer of a soon-to-be published book called In the Ocean Filled with Sharks Being an Orca, and I'm giving away a free chapter of my book if you send me the Halving Report to either of my Instagram handles, Bitcoin Vegan on IG or Bitcoin_Vegan on Twitter. And I'm a Bitcoin educator, vegan, futurist. I think that's about it right now, but I'm really here to try to push mass adoption in the correct way and do my part in growing out the Black community.
You actually heard about Bitcoin from Zay, correct?
Yeah, he's the person who introduced me to Bitcoin, educated me, showed everything I knew 5 years ago.
Zay, do you mind just giving us an introduction for yourself?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So my name is Isaiah Jackson. I'm the author of Bitcoin in Black America, first and second edition, and I'm also the co-host of the Gentlemen of Crypto Daily Show. And I've been around since 2013, and since that time, the industry has definitely grown, and I'm glad to see it progress to the point it is now, and I feel like we have a long way to go. So just glad to be here with you, Brad.
Yeah, you don't meet a lot of people that have been in this space as long as you have, but of course, every day more people are taking that orange pill. And speaking of orange pill, I know you're a fan of Max Kaiser, Zay, and I was listening to some of your stuff, and I think you said it was the Funky Crypto podcast with John Kim and Ben Askren, you said John McAfee was your favorite crypto Twitter follow.
Yeah, anybody that'll bet $1 million on chewing on their own dick is hilarious to me. That's funny enough to be the funniest person on Twitter. But yeah, I mean, I just didn't take that question too serious because, honestly, who knows? There's plenty of people I actually love, but McAfee is definitely the funniest.
Because Max Kaiser is always chirping McAfee too, right? He's like, I think he's in jail right now, somehow tweeting from jail. It's a little bit different this bull run.
A lot more tame this time around. 2017 was wild.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
wild bull run.
It's so wild, right? And I envy Justin who got in a little bit earlier in the year. I was just happy I, kept my conviction about Bitcoin and accumulated over those couple of years that I had. Zay, I just finished Bitcoin in Black America, first version, but you have a second version from my understanding. Can you tell me, about the second version, maybe the differences between?
Oh yeah. So the second version has 7 new chapters, and if the first version is like a 100 level college course, the second one's like a 200 level. It's basically a step up, and it has a lot of things in there that solve issues in our community, but also is very Bitcoin based this time around, so that people have practical solutions. For example, running your own node, having a mostly private wallet, being able to keep Bitcoin for generational wealth, even after a divorce, being able to pass it down to your kid, how Bitcoin may be used for reparations and so on and so forth. So a lot of good things in the second book. I believe it solves a lot of good issues. And I just think the movement's getting stronger. And anybody who gets the book has access to 3 webinars. They get the audio and the digital version free as well with that purchase. So Bitcoin in Black America too.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'll definitely be checking that one out. Because in the first version, you did mention quite a few different blockchain projects and companies. Are a lot of those companies still active?
Yeah. So, for example, Guapcoin is one I mentioned, is still going. Akon's project is still going for as much as I know. Justin's here. Justin was in the book.
Yeah, I saw him, man. That's cool.
Yeah. And that's funny, that story. That's one of those times I bought a $900 burrito from him back in the day. So it's kind of a funny story. But yeah, pretty much all of those projects are still going to this day. So it's relevant today, and it was relevant at that time.
Really cool. Justin, you're writing a book now, as you mentioned, and you sent me the first chapter. So I thank you. I did read it. And can you just tell me, a little bit more about the book and what inspired you to start writing it?
So inspired me was 2 people. There was this one business coach I had. Her name is Jen Godet, and the other one was Zay. I was talking to him on the phone one day. He said, "Bro, when you gonna write your book?" And I was like, "What? I gotta write a book? Why not?" I was like, "All right, fuck it. I'll write the book then, man." It was a good challenge though. You know what I'm saying? saying it's good to have friends like that who challenge you and, you know, who see something in you that you might not see. So, you know, people like, hey, you know, write the book. And it took me forever. You know what I mean? I feel like it took me like months. It took me probably about 8 months, 9 months, 8-9 months. So the book it is a lot about like just my journey from losing the house to foreclosure in high school, going to prison, have one of my friends murdered in front of me, going to college, dropping out of college, just and all that journey to how Bitcoin was like that thing. You know what I mean? Like that chapter y'all read, it's not necessarily the first chapter, but it's the one that starts like the launch pad of things, because that chapter goes from like 2016 to 2017, 2018, 2019. You know, you just start noticing like, all right, there's a trend here. And Bitcoin was always there. So, you know, it's not necessarily a book. It's not a book just on Bitcoin, but once you get to that Bitcoin part, you just start noticing like, damn, you know, and I feel like, you know, people need to hear that different message of how Bitcoin changed people, you know, not just the one of hedge fund managers or, you know, a guy who sold his company for millions and decide what the hell, let me buy some Bitcoin to make a few extra dollars. You know, none of that shit. Like those stories are played out and tired now because it doesn't really help mass adoption, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I find everyone's Bitcoin story very interesting because, like you mentioned, Bitcoin does change everybody so drastically. So, like for myself, like my politics, everything changed about me when I started diving deep into Bitcoin. So, and, you know, I've even contemplated, you know, like because it's such a long process, I'm sure, to write a book. Like you said, you just did that first chapter or, you know, part of your book, whatever you want to refer to it as, and it took you, you know, better part of a year, right? So books are multi-year projects. So good for you, man. And you guys are collaborating on a course now, if I'm not mistaken. Do either of you want to explain that for me?
So Justin is doing the bulk of the course. I'll be collaborating on a part about Bitcoin ATM. So it'll be webinars and information about how to get involved in that business.
Justin, are you seeing like a lot more, like this past couple of weeks, like we've just seen so much more interest in Bitcoin and crypto and news coming out? Like, has this been super exciting? And like, are you guys seeing a lot of traction, getting a lot of people asking you about Bitcoin and crypto and Dogecoin?
Oh, you threw that shit in there.
You know what, man? I never had people ask me about Dogecoin ever. And then like this past couple weeks, people are skipping right past Bitcoin, right past Ethereum, and they're saying, "What's going on with?"
Wait. Let's be honest. They're really skipping past Ethereum. They're really skipping. I mean, it's like you be hearing like, yeah, you know about Bitcoin, but what about Dogecoin? Like, damn, you don't even bring up Ethereum no more. This is great.
Okay. Oh yeah, we went straight from second place to shitcoins. We are in the game now. Yeah. Hey, you know what's funny, Brad? I don't know if this has happened to you, but have you had people who have known you're in Bitcoin a long time, and that was still their first question was about Dogecoin?
Oh, of course, man. Yeah, I work with a lot of people every day, so everybody knows I'm like really into Bitcoin, and I've gotten some people that's skip Bitcoin right to Ethereum, but I've never seen where people skip right to Dogecoin. So it's just
you must need a Doge.
Yeah, the Elon Musk effect.
Oh, it's crazy. And I think I just saw Zay say that 10,000 are created every how often?
Oh, you're talking about Doge?
Yeah.
Oh, I was talking about first. Yes, 10,000 are created every block, which is ridiculous. But I was basically doing enough math for somebody when I said, "Hey, if Bitcoin goes to 1 million, what?" And they were like, "Hey, well, $1 would turn to 27." And it was like maybe more with Dogecoin, and I was like, "Well, for Dogecoin to make 20, whatever." The market cap will be 172 billion. And that's basically the market cap of like Wells Fargo, Bank of China. So people that think Dogecoin was going to $1 were basically waiting for Dogecoin to be as big as a national bank.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to give some people some truth, like, hey, that's not going to happen most likely. Even though the world is kind of crazy, I know. And plus the supply is inflated. So that number is even wrong. You know what I mean? So it'll probably actually be a little bit more than that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to kill people's dreams, but Dogecoin does have a use case. It's for kids. That's why Elon Musk bought it and gave it to his son.
Right.
Oh, did he? Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, he tweeted it out. I gave Doge to my son, but he bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. That's the difference.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You gotta look what they're really doing with their money. So would you say that's kind of the biggest news to drop in the last year or two in the Bitcoin space?
I mean, it's the biggest buy. Hell yeah. Like, man, that was the largest candle ever.
Yeah, largest candle in Bitcoin history. Richest man in the world gets it. Basically, Batman buying Bitcoin. So yeah, that was big news.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine like
shit.
Yeah. I've been a fan of Tesla longer than I've been a fan of Bitcoin, man. Like I've big fan of Tesla, always wanted one. So that's the dream, hopefully, by the end of this year, we see some of these crazy predictions that we've seen. Well, I guess not so crazy when you base it on the stock to flow model and all that kind of thing. But these targets, once they get hit, definitely I'll definitely want to be getting a Tesla. So I think that's super cool that they're integrating that.
Bro, you say you're gonna get a Tesla. Are you gonna buy it in Bitcoin? And if so, what's the most Bitcoin you'll spend on a Tesla?
Oh, that's a tough one, man.
Me and Justin were talking about that the other day, and I told him, I said, until $1 equals one Satoshi, I'm only paying them 60,000 Satoshi. So that's when I'll buy a Tesla.
Oh, for real?
You feel me? Like at the most, because he's already tweeted that. I mean, they said in the article like they're not going to liquidate it. They're not going to liquidate all of those Bitcoin. Saying those transactions in Bitcoin. So, bro, like you're obviously telling me that you think I'm going to give you 2 Bitcoins for a Tesla truck? Get out of here! If that 10x is brand $700,000 truck, no, we're not doing that. Nah, we can't do that.
How much would you pay, Brad?
Oh man, I feel like I would just convert just enough to make the payments as I go, sort of deal. I'd finance it. I would draw a little bit of my Bitcoin, hopefully at the top, later this year, over 6 figures. If I have the cash and fiat, I won't touch my Bitcoin. Like touching my Bitcoin is the last thing I want to do. Like at the end of the day, I feel the same way as you. I don't want to give up my Bitcoin at all. Like that's my last resort. That's my savings account, and I do think it's going to $1 million in this decade. And so
you can use it as collateral. Get a cash loan.
Exactly. Yeah. There's other ways to do it, right? There's all these.
It's about to be so amazing. Damn.
Yeah. So do you guys partake in decentralized finance? Do you guys lend out your Bitcoin and get annual return for lending it out? Do you guys use BlockFi and products like that?
Nah,
I'm familiar, but I don't use them. I guess too old school. I don't know. I just want to hold my keys, and I don't really. I understand the business model works for people and you can earn interest, but at the same time, I think Bitcoin earns enough interest, and the things that I do, I'm pretty good with that.
I just can't trust I can't trust, those companies holding my keys. Like it's just, I don't like people try to say, oh, that's the Bitcoin OG. Like it's funny how we're in year 12 and the Bitcoin OG mentality is just it's too much. It's too extreme. And it's like, my idea is too winning. Damn it. Like, what do you mean? Since when has winning become extreme, right? But I know Zay was talking about a project that I'm looking to called Unchained Capital, right, Zay?
Yep. Yeah, they let you hold your keys when you do it. So
it's something interesting to play. I mean, you gotta try it, right? You gotta try it. Is especially if you get total control of it and the situation is right. As long as it's right, let's get it. You gotta be willing. You gotta be willing to try something. Yeah, because earning Bitcoin is the thing. You know what I mean? Like that's what a lot of people don't understand. They just want to get into buy mode. But earning Bitcoin off the blockchain in decentralized fashion, that's the game plan. That's really the game, not everything else.
Yeah, I kind of feel with that old school mentality as well. Like I feel not your keys, not your coins. And part of the whole reason why Bitcoin came to be is because these third parties got in the way of our freedom and being able to use our money and them not taking control of it in whatever way. Even though it is limited now when you're using crypto, third party still is a barrier between peer-to-peer money. And I mean, like a lot of them too, it's like, what do I want to give up my keys for another 8% a year when Bitcoin goes up an average of 200% a year?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think the rates are so high, because you have to justify why would I do that when Bitcoin is already a good enough compound interest wise, 230% a year, I think somebody said. So yeah, that's pretty good.
It's wild. It's right. So it's like, why? Yeah, I don't get it. Why take that risk? Even if it is, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. And until maybe I think Bitcoin rich and I'm not working at any other job and I'm just, living off my Bitcoin, I don't think I would ever give it up like that again. For cold storage, you guys use Ledger Wallet or what do you use for that?
I mean, I do have a Ledger and I bought the BitFi. I'll tell you what happened with that after some transactions in Miami. But I got Ledger, Treasure. I got a few other weird ways of storing crypto as well, but can't talk on all of them.
Zay, have you heard of the BitFi?
Yeah, I've heard of BitFi, and Cold Bar Wallet, Open Down are my favorites. I got a Ballet crypto thing, but I haven't used it yet. So those are the main ones I have.
I like Open.
I have a couple treasures from back in the day, but I don't even touch those.
No, so what would be the number one? Like I use the BitFi, but like what would be? I kind of want to get another one just to have two and play with another one, diversify with my wallets a little bit. Which one would you recommend?
Trezor. I like Trezor.
Trezor, yeah, okay, yeah, cool.
I got like the Ledger with the USB. I only had a screen on it. Like, I got the new Ledgers now. Like I got a Ledger you can't even get in stores no more.
Oh, so it's a small one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Zay, you're doing 1 million Satoshis by the end of the month to as many Black families as possible. So I wonder if you could just tell me a little bit about that initiative.
Oh yeah. So the Black Bitcoin Billionaires on Clubhouse, the biggest Bitcoin group on Clubhouse right now, pushing a campaign called the Satoshi Millionaire campaign, where, like you said, we want to encourage every Black family to at least have 1 million Satoshis. That's around $470 right now by the end of the month. And the reason we're doing that is because we want everybody to have a chance at getting Bitcoin, of course, but also holding it long term for family wealth. And one of the things we're doing, we teamed up with Cash App. They gave us money to distribute to get people started, and me and Lamar, who created it, we're the only people on Cash App currently who are able to send Bitcoin to Bitcoin transactions on Cash App. So we'll be able to do that to anybody we decide to give it away to. So we've been giving away money through Clubhouse. If you join the group, we have a bunch of different rooms. Genesis Block at 11 a.m. on Mondays is the main one. We also have Crypto Virgins every day. We have the Who Wants to Be a Satoshi Millionaire game Tuesdays and Thursdays. So a lot of different ways. We're giving away free books, free courses, blackbitcoinbillionaire.com. If you sign up, you get some free Satoshis. So yeah, we're doing that the entire month of February, Black Future Month.
Awesome, man. I'll have to get all those links and post them in the show notes. Justin, I want to ask you, who's your favorite crypto Twitter follow, if you have one? I know you like that 100 trillion.
100 trillion is cool, yeah. I ain't gonna lie, I don't know what this dude is. I don't know if it's like a bot or something, but it's called Grubles, Grubles. And the only thing and the reason I like, because he talks like high level shit about Ethereum, and it's funny as hell. I'm like, he really be killing it. Like, he be killing Ethereum. Like, he destroys them every tweet. And it's something that's like, it's so high level. It's like, yo, I don't even know how to argue with that if it is incorrect. And I'm an Ethereum person. I mean, I'm a Bitcoin guy. But I'm thinking like, damn, I didn't even know that. You know what I mean? It's like, you start seeing why a lot of older guys, but there's one dude named Tomer Strobelight, Tomer. He's a unique follow as well. You know, then we got the Bitcoin's age, the pumps, but the people that people might not know about, those are a few people.
Well, man, I'll definitely check them out. So yeah, Justin, you're like a complete Bitcoin maximalist. Zay, have you become more of a maximalist over the years, or like how would you recommend allocation percentages?
Yeah, I've been a maximalist since the beginning. Most of the talk about other coins is simply because I'm an educator and I get questions about it. So I research it. But yeah, I'm about 98% in Bitcoin saving.
Oh, cool, man. I'm definitely in the 90s as well. But Justin, if you had to sell all your Bitcoin for one altcoin, which altcoin would it be?
People actually, I can't do that. Like, I don't even.
Nah, you gotta choose one. You might as well go with those.
Man, hell, if I had to choose one, I'd go with Monero.
Yeah.
I was about to say Monero.
Yeah. Oh, that's something we can all agree on. That's pretty cool. All right. Any favorite books or websites or outlets you guys want to mention?
There's a new website that just came out today or yesterday, I believe. It's called Bitcoin for Shit or Bitcoin Shit. Oh man, I can't remember. It's so new, but literally it's a website where it shows you if you bought something on a certain date, instead you could have had this much Bitcoin, and it shows.
Oh my God, I see it.
Oh man, it was all over Twitter, and I spent the last 2 hours laughing at it. Let me see if I can find it so I don't mess up the name.
Bitcoin or shit.
Bitcoin or shit.
Bitcoin or shit. Okay.
Yeah, and it's great because it shows you that low time preference is key. Because the people that are selling it for Lambos and trying to buy islands and shit, that's stupid. You can buy a country in 20 years. Like, so it shows that in a very funny and like edutainment way, which is what Bitcoin needs. That's what I do. You have to educate people, but you also have to give them a way to look inward and be like, oh yeah, I am fucking up. I need to actually buy more Bitcoin. So this is great. Bitcoin or shit. That's my favorite resource right now.
Bitcoin, instead of a fucking DJI Phantom drone, you have $4,064,670, which is 85 Bitcoins. Original price $1,200. Release date is January 7th, 2013. God damn.
Yeah. and I will say look into Bitcoin.com. I like them. And Masari. They have some great data as well.
Okay. Bitcoin.com. Isn't that they advertise Bitcoin Cash too, right?
Oh no. Look into Bitcoin.com.
Oh,
it's literally looking. Oh no, not Bitcoin.com. Fuck that site. That's Bcash.
Yeah, that's Bcash. Yeah,
that's Bcash. No, but it's called Look into Bitcoin.com. It's a bunch of charts, graphs. They have the Pi cycle, which like it accurately predict the end of a run I think it's almost 100% of the time. Like it's great data on there that you can use. Has that stock to flow model, all of that.
What are your thoughts on Roger Ver then, Zay?
Oh man, Roger Ver he's either a trader or he's getting extorted. Because he was he was basically called Bitcoin Jesus when I first started, and he became basically a pariah in the community when he decided that bigger blocks were needed because we needed to buy coffee with Bitcoin, which is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. But he basically, like I said, I won't say completely that he just had a change of heart and woke up. Again, he may be getting extorted, or somebody may have given that tap on the shoulder and was like, "Hey, you need to change what you're doing." Who knows? But Roger Ver is not too high on my list right now.
No,
definitely bottom 100. If we had I want to do a bottom 100 list instead of the top 100. People always do.
Yeah. I kind of have mixed feelings too, because he's such a OG, like one of the first people to advertise and invest into Bitcoin. But at the same time, he's pumped Bitcoin Cash all the time.
It's like you want to be like, "What's up?" But it's like, dang, man, like you really out here fucking up. Like, but at the same time, I mean, I started taking a different approach and look at these people. I'm like, well, the more people you steer off on Bitcoin, the more it'll be for me. But I mean, it's like a double-edged sword, right? It's like, damn, you really are fucking up people, but I will buy while you're doing it. So,
hey, one thing too, if you got the tinfoil hat on, some people have said that these people that switch out of Bitcoin when they supposedly are in it is just like OPSEC, so that you don't think they have anymore. And they're switching it to a product, like Bcash or some BSV, and then the value goes down, so they're not liable. But it's like OPSEC to say, yeah, I really still have a shit ton of Bitcoin. I just don't want anybody to know.
Really? Yeah.
Like Peter Schiff. I think Schiff is loaded. Like, I think he's lying.
Yeah. Schiff's like, that's a head scratcher. Peter Schiff is a huge head scratcher for me. It's like, at what point do you lay it down? At what point do you wave the white flag?
He's lying. I think he's lying. Nobody wakes up and thinks about Bitcoin that much. I think he's realized if I troll Bitcoin, like all this attention, all these people, I think he has it. His son has Bitcoin, but he doesn't. Come on, man. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't, at this point, it's too comical. Like, he almost does it too much for it to be real, I think.
Yeah.
And he actually accepts Bitcoin for payment for gold on his website. So I really think he's lying.
Yeah, that's kind of like the nail in the coffin for me. Like, that's really bizarre. I feel like any naysayer in Bitcoin gets so much attention because there's like, once you dive that deep into Bitcoin, it's really hard to make arguments against it. And someone that pays that much attention to it, his son owns it, been on Bitcoin podcasts, he's debated Max Kaiser. So I mean, yeah, that just seems really strange to me.
I kind of see where Jay's coming from. It's like, you can't. It comes to a point like once you do so much hating that it's like, all right, like people gonna tune you out where we are, but it could be anything, man. Like once you get to that level, you start playing different games. You know what I mean? Like who knows? Like it's not that bad of an idea to think people would do that. Because there is gonna come a time when people just be like, so Bitcoin is at $10 million. Like, yeah, no, I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, so, who knows, man? It's kind of weird. But like, especially with remember Roger Ver during that whole fork wars thing. Like that was a weird time. You feel me? Like that was a weird time. Did you come in the middle of the fork wars or the fork wars after?
Yeah, I came in just as it was going on, so I didn't really get it. But I never bought into Bitcoin Cash. I was just Bitcoin, and then I got into other shit coins, but I didn't get into Bitcoin Cash.
Like what? Like which ones? Which ICOs did you lose most money on?
Oh my god, dude! Like,
hey, I know one thing. I know one thing. Me and Vinny Legum got to have a talk because I made no money on Civic. That was the worst ICO.
Oh yeah, he was pumping that one.
Yeah, Civic ICO, and we only did it because he reached out, or somebody who was saying like, you should do it on your show. And again, we didn't really pump ICOs, but we were like, oh well, we'll just see this one. Literally, this is the only one I ever touched. It was the shittiest one.
Oh man,
it was so bad.
Yeah, like I was buying some of the ones McAfee was pumping out. Like I just got in, and he was like the loudest person on crypto Twitter at the time, and so I was kind of just watching what he said. I just had so much FOMO at the time, and I just want a little piece of everything. And I bought a whole bunch of them, and basically some of them disappeared, some of them are still out there. Some of them are still out there, but they just haven't really done much in price. And the most I bought doc.com.
What's that?
They do like telemedicine. So they offer
Okay.
free telemedicine, but they're going to be selling health data on their blockchain. Like it's actually a decent idea, but just the price of the coin hasn't moved in like 3 years, right? So
I hate though, like everybody was just like, yeah, we got this grant. Like I would tell people like, that's not a white paper, it's a fucking PDF. Everybody would have like some grand spanking idea, but then you start looking at the coin, it's like, why the hell do we give you Bitcoin for this? You know, that's why I started telling folks like, bro, this is a whole scam. I said, because if their platform was really built like that, think, after a while you start looking at cryptos and you start comparing them to Bitcoin, like, hey, Bitcoin didn't need no grand spanking ass seller's point for us to buy it. It just was. You know what I mean? Like, it just worked. Like, we didn't need no marketing team to help us feel better. That's when I started noticing like a lot of this shit is just some bullshit because you want Bitcoin for it. You know what I mean? You don't want USD, you want Bitcoin for it.
Mm-hmm.
So like you should have just held Bitcoin in the beginning, but you couldn't find no other way to raise it. Because think about it, I'm giving you Bitcoin for this bullshit and Bitcoin is taking off and this hasn't. Like, y'all really just ran off on people. Y'all really just ran a good scam on people. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no doubt. But I mean, like, I'm not like 100% full maximal. I think there could be other blockchains out there, but it's just like some charts that really spoke to me was when I saw like, how Bitcoin, it's like the only one that's been standing when I look at how many altcoins have died over the years. And I look at the top 10 of coin market cap, like a history of what were the top 10. It's always different, but Bitcoin remains the same, right? And you're just, although you might make good returns in terms of fiat with altcoins, ultimately the amount of Bitcoin you have is going down because Bitcoin's going parabolic at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah.
People don't want to hear.
It's too bad. Like the new people don't understand that. It's such a basic idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you tell people that, it's like they in their mind they're like, oh, so that's what that means because you see the price going up. Yes, technically USD, but when you look at the Bitcoin charts, like every single altcoin is down against Bitcoin still, and it will stay that way most likely.
Yeah.
So,
it
becomes really hard. Yeah, it becomes really hard to defend it. At that point, it's like I really can't defend you buying any altcoin with Bitcoin. Now, USD, if you're a trader, do your thing, whatever. Spend your fiat on whatever. But if you're not, and some blockchain projects will make it. But again, it's such a low success rate long term. It kind of sucks. But hey, it's shiny object syndrome, I think.
I tell people it's complete gambling. Bitcoin is your for sure bet. If you can secure your Bitcoin, it's almost like untouchable in the last 12 years since it came out. Other than that, altcoins is your gamble. And even Ethereum, people are saying, oh, it's all-time high. Well, it's not all-time high if you compare it to Bitcoin. They just
not
look
even
at
close.
it. Yeah. So people are just slow to start denominating in Bitcoin, right? But I think we'll
right. When all the old school trading platforms like Poloniex and them died, when they used to pair all the other altcoins in Bitcoin, and you would hop back over, and you start noticing just like, damn, every time I come back to Bitcoin, it's lower. You know what I mean? It's like this isn't a good place to be. You know what I mean? Like, but they don't do that no more. Like Zay said, they just do it with USD. And people are like, oh, I'm winning. I'm like, yeah, but they don't really care about listing price. They just care about how much I bought when I bought it, but overall listing price, everything is trash. For real, man. Like if you look at it, this is why Bitcoin blows Tesla out the water, right? Like what was Tesla's starting price when Bitcoin was going? When Bitcoin, you know what I mean? Well, like what was Tesla's starting price being Bitcoin? Man, it's gonna forever be trash. Like no matter what it is, when everything is pegged, this what happened to me in 2016. Like after Zay brilliantly explained Bitcoin, and then I was on these other platforms. Sometimes in my brain, I'd be high as hell, and I'd be like, what if we just peg everything else to Bitcoin? What would the price be? And that's when it really started opening my eyes. Like, yo, there's really nothing else to buy on this planet but Bitcoin.
Not the food. Yeah, the food and
outside of food, like it was nothing else to buy. I'm like, damn. So we pegged everything from the day it started with the price of Bitcoin. Everything gonna be down. That's just something that helped me understand. Like, yo, you really need more Bitcoin than you actually believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you never have enough. I've even considered taking loans or possibly selling the real estate that I own here in Canada just to get more money and just to put it in Bitcoin, because I feel like owning Bitcoin is superior to owning physical assets, like so much superior that, like, why do I want to own this condo and have all these responsibilities and stressors when Bitcoin's outperforming it and I could secure it way easier and I can move it way easier.
And I can have 100 control over it. Like, it's a layup, man. Like Zay says, a layup.
I guess eventually you gotta diversify. I mean, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, why?
I don't know. Like, at what point? Okay, at what point do you diversify then?
Hey, well,
I don't.
I would say that Justin said something good the other day when we were talking about diversification and how people say stuff like, "I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket." But technically, we've all had our eggs in one basket our whole life, the U.S. dollar, and because of that, we have a failing currency. We know with inflation, if Bitcoin is the quote unquote all eggs in one basket, that's cool because everything is going to be sucked into that black hole. So technically, that is Bitcoin is not eggs in the basket; it's the basket.
That is a good way to look at it.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because,
All right.
because think about it. It's something, right? Someone said, "Man, you gonna get into real estate?" Like, bro, that's a waste. That's a waste of my time. If I just buy $20,000 worth of Bitcoin instead of actually trying to flip a damn house, I'll be better off before the end of the year anyway.
Yeah,
I won't have
buy
to
the
flip
house.
the house, buy a tenant. I don't have to do any of that. I just bought Bitcoin.
So what's going to happen to all these assets? You think they're going to lose value? Like,
I mean, they already are.
Like,
I think they'll have a day in the sun. Not against Bitcoin, but I think more people will use USD. They'll have to, right? And I think they have to mature more. But yeah, I mean, a couple will have their day in the sun. They'll be able to reach parity with Bitcoin, maybe. But yeah, I mean, if Bitcoin's the basket, you still need eggs, right? So it'll be a couple in there.
And Zay, what's your take on central bank digital currencies? You think those are going to be around long term?
Trash.
I know they're trash, but are we going to be forced? Are we going to be forced to use them for forevermore?
Yes, you know it.
Okay.
I mean, we saw it come in 2018 on the show. It was an article, and I have to find it, but they said the word CBDCs at least no less than a dozen times in one article, and we're like, that's weird. It's like they're trying to program you into realizing this is coming, and then here we are 3 years later. China's about to issue theirs. The U.S. already has theirs ready. I mean, a lot of big countries. That's why
it's a big deal to get in Bitcoin now, man. I mean, I'm telling you, it's going to be so hard to get Bitcoin that if you're not already OG, it's going to be you're going to be so tricked and believing you got to use all these on ramps. You feel me? Yeah. Like people are going to be so tricked.
And it's sort of an attack vector. You know, thinking more on it is like when people talk about governments maybe shutting it down. The only way I can see that possible is if they say, "Hey, your bank account is now American CBDC dollars, whatever," and nobody's permitted to buy crypto with CBDC dollars. So in essence, you wouldn't have a market at that point. But then, you know, globally, it would tank maybe for a little bit, but it would take off in other markets. But that's really their only attack vector, and that's the only reason I think they're still using it to track people. You know how that goes.
And that's probably very improbable at this point, just because of how many institutions and people and types of people. Yeah, I forget who just saying that recently. That you know, I think it was with the Winklevoss, one of the Winklevoss saying how it's, you know, it's just there was just too much invested at this point to.
Too big to fail now, man. Like
too big to fail. Yes,
it's really too big to be corrupted either. You know what I'm saying? Like too big to fail and too big to be corrupted. Because you got MicroStrategy. They put up a lot of money. They got plus billion. You know, you got Mass Mutual. You got PayPal, Square. Now Elon. You got Apple talking about it. I mean, next thing you know, you're gonna have Alphabet just say, "Fuck it, we're gonna buy Bitcoin." I mean, all of these major players now will be here. You know what I'm saying? And then you're gonna have global countries to follow. You know what I mean? Look at Miami. Miami is already ready. You have people who are going to notice, like, we need to befriend these people because this is a different network. Like sometimes we'll never talk about the network. So one thing when I was writing in the book, Brad, you know, I was trying to tell people, like, I had a value adjustment about Bitcoin when I started learning the value of the technical network, right? But Michael Saylor said something dope. He said, you know, we're talking about price now, but the second wave of Bitcoin is the network. And he was talking about, like, you know, the Lightning Network, secondary payments, Taproot, Schnorr. I don't know if he said Taproot, but I'm throwing in Taproot, Schnorr signatures. We actually had Jimmy Song go into real good detail about that. You need to come to Clubhouse, really. I was talking between Jimmy Song and Andreas Antonopoulos. I was like, damn, this is really happening. Wow. So you know the level of knowledge that came from that conversation. But he said, like, you know, the next thing is the network. And in my eyes, it's not just the network of the technology, but the network of people. This is the new 1% of the population. And we're on the greatest invention in human history. So, if you do not cooperate, and this is something Bitcoiners need to start understanding. If people do not cooperate with us, we can't leave. We don't have to go and be like, oh man, sell me your property for Bitcoin. Like, no, you're going to be to the point like, man, can I give you this property for Bitcoin? Can I give you this for some Bitcoin? You know what I mean? Like, because it's in front of your face now. The people who are just going to continuously wait, that's how it's going to come to. You're going to start pleading for Bitcoiners to have your stuff so you can have a piece of Bitcoin. I mean, a million Satoshis is about to be $1,000. It's about to be over. If you think about it like that.
Are we going to see hyperinflation then, like coming soon? Like if companies just start pouring their money into Bitcoin, like what kind of macro effects is this going to have?
Well, I think that's just the start. I think because we have negative interest rates on bonds, that's when you see hyperinflation or hyper Bitcoinization, I should say. When people are dumping bonds and buying Bitcoin instead, that's countries right there. That's literally that's when we hyper Bitcoinization. It seems fake, but if you look at after the next halving, us being past 1 million, who knows that blow off top? You know what I mean? Like it could go 5, could be 10, because every time, if you look at that model, every time it goes past that next level, which next is 100,000, we have some sort of blow off top, and we don't know how much interest is there. So I think the timing, as well as the fact that right now we're looking at other countries becoming stronger by buying Bitcoin, I think it's a matter of time. But corporations are the start. It's literally just working its way up. It's just regular people. Then it was businesses. Then it was public traded businesses. Then it was corporations. Now it's about to be BlackRock, 7 trillion assets under management. You know what I mean? Like, and then it just goes from there. So this is just the start. And I think before next halving, this will start because it'll be way too scarce after 2024.
How many more days till we have to the next halving?
Oh fuck! I don't know, man. Different pages say something different. Like definitely well over 1,000, man. We got some time to go. I'm starting to count in months now.
Yeah. Oh God, don't say that.
Oh man, we got a while to go. So, but I mean, the bull market's only going to last so long, right? Then we're gonna get back into the bear. And to be honest, I kind of miss the bear market, man. Like there's definitely aspects of the bear that I enjoyed. You're just a little bit calmer. Now it's like everyone and their brother is getting into or asking at least about crypto and Bitcoin, and there's more time to stack sats, right?
That's all it is to do, man. Come on, man. What else is there to do? You're in the pandemic and governments are giving out money. Come on, man.
Yeah. So that'd be interesting, man. If we see that corporate government FOMO this cycle, the world's gonna move. The world's gonna move very, very quick.
Very quick. Yeah.
You got to realize we in the middle of it now, though, man. Look what Iran did.
What did they do?
It's been reported. I haven't dug into it, but it's been reported that they're using, Bitcoin to surpass U.S. sanctions imports.
Right. There's a few countries doing that, right? Like Venezuela, Russia.
I mean, I can't say for sure. I haven't. I mean, they might know better, but I'm just saying, like, I should look more into it, but. From what I read about that specific one, it was just like, that's, and what does that start? What chain reaction does that start in the part of the world that we don't know about? That saying that those conversations. That's why it's Bitcoin is so grand, right? Because it's like we don't know what they're talking about in that other part of the world. We don't know what type of money they about to throw in. You feel me? Like we just don't know. It's surprise. It's like
it's a lot of oil money in Dubai as well.
Oh hell yeah!
Like you just don't know. Like, and that's what if some prince says, I'm putting whatever. It's like, yo, they doing what? Like that's all gonna get affected. This could be crazy, man. Like,
Yeah, and I mean, if you just look at total numbers, how much total assets are there? Like 300 trillion or something like that?
Yeah, maybe even more.
Yeah, maybe more because we don't really know how much money is in the world. We never really will. And Bitcoin's at 1 trillion, just about at market cap.
Almost.
Yeah, man. One more 100x, we'll be good. That's
yeah. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it seems crazy, but honestly, like I said, once this starts happening, you got to think how much money that is at one time because they all follow each other, and it's slow at first, but then all at once, right?
Right, and I mean, for your halving cycles, right? Like we're basically like are we in 2017 right now? Like this is February 2017 on the same scale. Like that's pretty crazy to think that
it'll still be late 2016. Who knows? I mean? Just because, like I don't know, so I'm just saying, like just because of like what's planning to take place. Like, how many more billion-dollar companies do you see buying Bitcoin? Trillion-dollar companies buying billion-dollar buys you see buying Bitcoins,
At least a dozen more.
Yeah, and they're buying more.
How many $8,000 candles do y'all see?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I say by the end of the year we'll be at 200,000. So we'll need a few, but
shit, man, 200,000. I was gonna ask for a prediction, but I think I just got it. 200,000 by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Justin, you think that's a accurate prediction?
I mean, listen, I did a breakdown on why I think we go 300K in November. Like I said, I don't necessarily do the price charts, but I look at current events and try to measure. I'm not saying I'm always on point, but I just try to measure what I see currently. So what I see currently taking place in the globe, based upon what I see, happen in the U.S. dollar, and how they just talk about a cash, like the Wall Street Journal predicted the cash shortage for this year and the coming years. We won't recover from Corona until 2025, and even when Zay threw out the fact that we're going to be at a 15% interest rate instead of traditional 1 to 3. I mean, you throw all that shit in there, plus what I don't know that's happening on the other side of the world. I mean, 200, 300K is very, like a 10X. We just saw that, people don't even know they live through a 10X. That's very possible. That's all possible. And it's still February.
For sure. I like to be conservative. So when new people are asking me, I'll say, 100K by the end of the year. But like deep inside, I'm thinking like you guys 200, 300.
Yeah, when you talk to people like yourself, you're like, yeah, what y'all really think? I'll be stupid to say, let me get $1 million. But
yeah, man.
Too wild. Like you remember that one time I got two. Got too wild one time, but
because they're not used to these kind of games, right? So you got to play conservative for these newbies, and get them to just stack and stats. How they get distracted by the cheapness of Dogecoin so quickly and Ripple, right? So they don't understand the 21 million cap, and there's how many bajillions of other coins, right? So man, I'm gonna wrap it up here, guys. If you want to start, just maybe tell where my listeners where to follow you and learn more.
You can check me out on Twitter, Bitcoin Vegan. Please send me a message saying the Halving Report, or you can just holler at me on Bitcoin Vegan on IG, Bitcoin_Vegan on Twitter, and say you want the free chapter. I'll send you the free chapter of my book, the free Bitcoin chapter of my book, and just follow me, tweet me out if you need. I'm here for questions as much as possible, and
And for me, you can find me on Twitter at BitcoinZay, Instagram BitcoinZay LLC, and at bitcoinandblackamerica.com.
Thanks for listening to episode 43 of the Halving Report podcast with myself, your host, Brad Mines. Please like and subscribe to the show. Check out the show notes below. And most importantly, keep stacking sats.